Welcome to another episode of the Informed Chiropractor. Today we are heading over to Hong Kong. We've never been to Hong Kong before, so I'm very excited about this interview. Dr. Eric Chu went to his undergrad in Canada, so he went to Queen's, then he went to New York Chiropractic College, then he practiced 2 years in Vancouver before he headed over to Hong Kong, where he's actually built an empire. And how I've actually really found out about him was on Facebook. I'd seen he'd won kind of a prestigious award of the top 3 research paper in Nature, the Nature Journal, and it's all on the safety of chiropractic care. And so we dive into research, case studies, and business acumen. And I think you guys are going to really enjoy this. So let's get started. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Informed Chiropractor. Today is kind of a special day. It's the first time I have ever gone across the ocean to Hong Kong. It's crazy. The first time I've been in this country, which is really exciting. I was breezing through Facebook one day and I saw this chiropractor get an award for being one of the top researchers in a very prestigious medical journal or a chiropractic journal. And I reached out to him and I said, hey, I'd like to get to know this guy a little bit better and help share his story with all the listeners around the world. So, Dr. Eric Chu, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Dr. MacDonald. How are you?
I'm doing very good.
Yes, yes.
So being the first time that we've talked to anybody from Hong Kong, how's
Yep.
the chiropractic profession in Hong Kong? What is it like practicing in Hong Kong?
Practicing in Hong Kong is like I would say it's like practicing in New York.
Yeah,
So we are a city, we're a very busy city, very condensed, in an island like a very small island, but we have about 7 million people living here.
that's hilarious because I'm in Alberta, Canada, where we have like
Yes.
vast, huge area, and we only have 4 million in our province out of like a huge. You could probably take you like 20 hours almost to drive from one end to the other. So it's
Yep. Yep.
we're used to the open spaces. We're not used to being all squished in.
Yep. So I think my city, the people that you know is probably Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee.
Oh
So they are
yes,
from my
yeah.
city. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Oh yeah, we got lots of good movies from there. So that's great. So,
Yep.
what initially interested you in the chiropractic profession?
Okay. Well, I graduated from Canada. I graduated from Queen's University from Kingston, Ontario.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
So when I first graduated, just like a lot of the students, wondering where you are going to. I started to do some research all the healthcare professionals. One thing that actually pop up is chiropractic profession because chiropractic, this word doesn't really echo in Asia or in my countries because
Right.
we don't have a lot of chiropractors in Asia. So I
Yeah.
started to go in a little bit into that, and then we found that it is very interesting because the technique or the arts of chiropractic actually echoes with the Asian arts.
Yes.
So yes. So that's how the first time that actually bring to my attention. So I was trying to decide which career to go into, and then when I studied chiropractic, I found that hey, maybe this is where I'm going to. So after I graduated from Queen's University with a life science degree, I figured out that hey, I should visit a chiropractic clinic, and then I decided to go to back then it's called New York Chiropractic College. So I
Yep.
went there and then finished my DC degree.
That is excellent. And so did you grow up in Hong Kong
No,
or
actually, I grew up in Taiwan.
in
I
Taiwan?
grew up in
Okay.
Taiwan. Yes, I grew up in Taiwan and moved to Canada when I was 14.
Okay.
Yeah,
And,
so I
and
grew up in Vancouver.
oh wow. Oh no way. Just
Yeah.
like right
Yep,
across
yep,
the
yep.
we had to fly. We did a seminar last weekend in Saskatoon, and because Air Canada cut a lot of their flights, we had to fly Edmonton to Vancouver back to Saskatoon. So I was just there last weekend.
Oh,
So
yes.
that's great. So yeah, I find it very interesting because like I'm teaching quite a bit of technique now, and that's something that chiropractic seemed to lose a little bit is the art. And like you said, if you compare it to martial arts, like practicing and being like very technical is
Yes.
super important when you're adjusting. I was just thinking of like say a golfer, and if a golfer gets tired and they make a bad shot, they just shoot the ball in the bush. But if a
Yep.
chiropractor is getting tired and they just kind of don't give the right thrust, like it just doesn't turn out to be such a great experience for the practice member. And so it's so important for us to stay sharp and focused in order to
Exactly.
create that nice smooth adjustment. So
Yep.
what made you decide to pick New York Chiropractic College? at the time? What was
Hmm. At the time, it was because of the name of the college. So
Yeah,
New York Chiropractic College sounds like a big college.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well, when translated to to my language in Chinese, I
Yeah,
think New York itself is already a brand, and people
right.
knows that you're from New York. So that's how I end up with Queen's University and New York Chiropractic College.
Wow. Well, that's cool. So it's all like the symbolism.
Yep, yep,
That's cool. Oh, that's good. And
yes,
so,
yes.
and so when you went there, how was your experience as a student? How did you enjoy chiropractic school?
Oh, I'm actually enjoyed it a lot. Again, when I was moving from Kingston, Ontario to New York Chiropractic College, I'm moving from a countryside to another countryside, which is, ordinary.
Yeah.
But the best thing is New York Chiropractic College get a diversity of clinics where
Yeah.
you can actually practice in the city, which is New York.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so I got the exposure to New York City. I got the exposure to a lot of the banking industry, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, and the school also provide education for ergonomics. So we
Yeah.
can actually go to the bank and provide ergonomic consulting, which is pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool. And they got a little high stress in that industry as well. So they might have a little tension in the nervous system.
Yep, definitely.
That's funny. So you graduate and then right after school, did you decide just to like go to Hong Kong or like what did you do right after you graduated?
After I graduated, I actually practiced in Vancouver
Oh,
for
did you?
about 2 years. Yes, yes, yes.
Oh,
So I was
cool.
registered in BC.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Yep,
cool.
yep.
And what makes you want to go to Hong Kong? Like that's so interesting to go from because have you ever been to Hong Kong before?
Yes, I've been to Hong Kong a couple of times because my dad was from Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So one was the time that I visited Hong Kong, and then the local chiropractor encouraged me to stay in Hong Kong, because the Asia or this part of the world really need chiropractic.
Yeah.
And then they were trying to tell me that because of the of course the healthcare system here, even though they have acupuncture, they have bone setting,
Yeah.
even though they have Western medicine, but chiropractic can play a very major roles in the healthcare system.
Oh, 100%.
So I started to talk to local chiropractor, local doctors, and then I decided, hey, maybe it was the time because I think my Vancouver clinic was filled up quite quickly,
Yeah.
and then I found that I was in my late 20s, and I suddenly feel that, hey, I don't know where else I'm going because I had one clinic and then it was packed.
Yeah.
And what's next? Yeah, so I decided, hey, maybe I should start the entrepreneur life and then give up my clinic there and then move to Hong Kong.
That's cool. And so when you went to Hong Kong, did you initially, because you kind of got like really interested in business, did
Yep.
you did you open a clinic right away or what did you do when you
No,
first got
no,
to China or to
no.
Hong Kong?
I decided to join a multidisciplinary big group, which is I think they have about 300 employees.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So I joined there, and then the owner of the clinic was a nurse. So I started to learn how a nurse can run a medical clinic and managing the medical doctors.
Yeah.
So that's the first start. And then they have a lot of insurance network where how they pitch to the insurance. And then they don't focus on claim the insurance. So the business model was how do they support insurance companies so they can serve the patients better.
Ah, okay. And then
Yeah.
what was your role? Were you a role as a chiropractor there or what was your
Yeah, I
role?
was a chiropractor there, but I can actually join the marketing department, pitching to the insurance company how chiropractic care can actually help the insurance company to reduce the claims.
Oh,
So yeah, so it was a little bit different approach compared to most of the PI clinic.
right.
PI clinic mostly work for the patients, and I usually for my role was more work for the insurance company to reduce their claim and for the patients as well.
Right. That's interesting. And so when you went to Hong Kong, approximately how many do you guys have a number approximately how many chiropractors are in
Yes,
Hong
yes,
Kong?
yes, yes. Now they're about 300, and then my registered number was 73. So I was the 73rd chiropractor in Hong Kong.
Oh wow. So you almost have like one car or 10 chiropractors for every million people.
Yeah, yes, exactly, exactly. Yes.
That's crazy. So how did you kind of get involved? When did you get involved in leadership? Like was it kind of quite soon
Oh,
after that? Like as far as the
well, in the beginning, yes. I think after 2 years, I started to pick up all the like business structure. How do you build a business part of the chiropractic? Then I decided I talked to my boss. So my boss said, "Hey, maybe I think you're mature enough. You can start up your own practice."
Yeah.
So I left him, and then I started the first clinic, and then my schoolmates from NYCC, they start to migrate to Hong Kong as well. So
Oh,
they tell me, hey Eric, do you have a job there? And I start to set up my second clinic, third clinic, fourth clinic, and slowly I start to build a empires.
oh, that's cool. So how many clinics
Yeah.
have you got up to?
Yeah. So at the current moment, my group, we have 155 locations. So it's not just
155
clinic.
locations.
Yeah. So we are a public listed company. We are the
Oh,
biggest non hospital healthcare group in Hong Kong. We manage about 30 disciplines, medical disciplines, including oncology, including the OBGYN, including pediatric. We will have vets. We have 5 vet hospitals.
oh, wow.
We have like 20 dental clinics. We have pathology labs. Anyway, we are quite big. Yeah, so
Yes.
now we become a very, very big empire. But of course, we have many, many partners, right? It's not just me.
Yeah.
I'm just one of the co-owner, but we have a lot of major shareholders. We need to manage investors, which is like Goldman Sachs, medical mutual funds.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my job as a leadership now is a lot of times is how to build these structures, how to buy out the clinics, and
Yeah.
how do we inject the chiropractic DNA to all this medical healthcare system.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
cool.
so that's part of my job now.
That's really good. Now, so when you opened your first clinic, did you like, and then you kind of opened a second location, like you're during
Yeah.
your growth process, like were you just like starting to add locations yourself and then you partnered with someone else? Like,
No, no, no. What I did was purely 100% on because as an entrepreneur, you really need to have the shares of the clinic.
yeah.
Okay, if you have a diversity of the shares, when you really want to do something big, it's very hard to find a conformity between your partners.
Oh,
For
yeah.
example, you have 10 clinics, 10 partners. It's impossible to do a conformity together.
And make quick
And
decisions.
yeah, and make quick decisions. But
Yeah.
however, when the deals comes in, for example, when a mutual fund comes in, wants to do something with you together, where you want to get the consensus, it will be too much trouble. So what
Yeah.
I did was purely just I used I'm willing to pay higher salary instead of giving out shares.
Yeah.
So what I did was one each year I just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then slowly I have a very good package to my associates. So the associate will actually stay longer, and then that's how the whole empire. So what I was trying to do was building the system more than individual associate or individual clinic.
Right. Yeah. So that you can
Yeah.
kind of have systematic. So like, because then you you also were acquiring clinics and then, and
Yeah.
then, and then, then changing the procedures kind of to get like aligned with the rest of your, with the
Yes.
rest of your clinics.
Yeah. So it happens to a lot of professionals actually. The typical example I usually describe is like Ernst and Young.
Oh, yeah.
The accounting, yeah, I'm sure you have heard Ernst and Young.
Yeah.
So for Ernst and Young, when they go to different countries, Ernst and Young is a global country, or
Yeah.
it's a global firm.
Yeah.
So for example, when they come to Hong Kong, they don't build a Ernst and Young. They buy out a local accounting firm, and then they
Yeah.
use their system. They format the system so they have the elite or they have the best research, the best practice, and
Right.
then giving out to the local accounting firm. So a local accounting firm copied it and become the Ernst and Young.
Right. And so they basically mostly acquire it for its well, I would say patient base, but or for its client base.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
they can like inject its procedures and policies in there just to take that over.
yes, yes,
And
yes.
and how was that like? Because you said you have like some hospitals. Like, do you have
Yeah,
like
for no, so we have the vet hospital,
okay?
like animal hospitals.
Oh, vet hospitals. Yeah.
For
Yes.
yeah, yeah. So for the interesting is in the vet industry, they
Yeah.
describe clinic like a hospital because they are 24 hours operating.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how that's their language. It's a vet hospital, so we have vet clinics.
That's so funny because I was thinking vet like army vet,
Oh no,
army
no, no,
vet.
no,
No,
sorry,
like
that's
Adam, you know, like
the animal vet.
yeah, it'd be like animal hospital. That's really
Yeah.
cool. And then dentists and everything. And so have you found like you kind of like have taken your procedures and policies and philosophy and kind of like wired it through all those different professions?
Definitely, definitely. So it creates a lot of collaborations. It creates a lot of synergy. If
Yeah.
you're talking about science, if you talk about the patient care,
Yeah.
so you find a common language. And of course, to the vets, they also understand the holistic part of it. All
Yep.
right. And then they also understand a lot of the basic healing process of the animals, right?
Hmm.
So you can share the same language, and then you can find a lot of common ground, and then build it together,
Yeah.
and which is amazing because it creates a lot of chemistry.
That's great. Awesome. So,
Yeah.
so interesting because I saw that like of the reason that kind of caught my eye was not even your business part, but the research stuff. So like
Yeah.
you've done like a huge amount of case studies too. So maybe
Yes.
just tell the listeners a bit how did you get into the research aspect of things as well?
Oh, it was the first research case of the study was trying to remember one of my patients. So I had a cancer patient. Okay,
Yeah.
a cancer patient comes in, very sick, and I told him, hey, you come to the wrong doctor because I'm not the cancer doctor.
Yeah.
And then he said, I heard that it can help me to relieve some of my pain.
Yeah.
So that's how I decided to take him. And then he has a very rare cancer. And then I started to take care of him, and then his symptoms started to go away.
Yeah.
All right, I still have the cancer, but he knows that he will pass away in 2 to 3 years.
Right.
The reason he wants to come to us is because he's an architect and he was the designer for the casinos.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so the casino is building in a high rise. So he has to walk up like 20 floors every day. So he
Yeah.
couldn't walk because he had cancer. And after chiropractic care, he can walk very quickly. He can go through his work very easily. He said he wants to make the 2 years money for his children's tuition fee.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So
Yeah.
he had a
So
big desire to improve his function.
yes, yes. So that's why he come to us. And then of course slowly and it started and then he passed away eventually.
You're
So
right.
after he passed away, he's a very good patient. I start to ask myself, how can I remember this patient, document this patient? And
Hmm.
then the good thing is write up the case report.
Right.
So I started to write that case for how chiropractic can help with cancer pain.
Right.
And because this condition is so rare, the medical school is actually using his condition to pitch the government funding for rare diseases medicine.
Right.
So I was able to find out which professor followed his case and then call the oncologist. I
Yeah.
asked him, hey, I have a case report. Do you mind take a look at it? And
Yeah.
Dr. Chu, the chiropractor. So the oncology professor was like, "Oh, Dr. Chu, I've heard about you. This is a patient I've mentioned about you many, many, many times. Yeah, definitely. Just send me the report and let me see it."
Yeah.
So I sent him the report, and he's happy about it. He said, "Oh, wow, now let's go and publish the case."
Hmm.
So we published the case together, and then I found that wow, this is a very good channel to communicate with my medical community here. All
Right.
right. Yeah, so I start to document the things that what I see in clinical, what's happening in clinics. So after a couple of months, I found another case, which is a partial half blind person.
Yeah.
Okay, he's a teacher. He told me that after the adjustment, he can see better.
Yeah.
It's like okay, he can see better. Yeah, and then he started to ask me why. I start to make up some reasons for subluxation, which is whatever, nervous system. I start to say,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
like, can you tell me something that, like, because again, he's a teacher, he has a master's degree in education. He said, can you tell me something that, like, you really believe, like, what's going on? And then I start to call my ophthalmologist, or actually my ophthalmology patients. And my ophthalmologist patient would tell me, oh, because his neck can move better, maybe he's peaceful.
Yeah.
Right. Which just it just doesn't echo me.
Right.
So one day I found out, hey, in a medical conference, I actually met the chairman or the president of Ophthalmologist Association.
Cool.
The MD, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, hey, why don't I call him and ask him what's his opinion?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, that's possible. Maybe the maybe he actually stimulate the circulation to the blood. So that's why the patient can see better. All right. So I asked the doctor, can I send the patient to you so you can do a pre-examination first? So after 3 months of care, I will send the patient back to you again and you do a post-examination of the eye.
Well, that's smart.
Yeah. And I'm going to pay for that. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then the patient's happy, of course. And then the doctor was like, yeah, sure, I will do it for you. So I did that. So after all that process, and then we see the good result before and after. All right. So with this explanation, and then I was like, why do I just do something, challenge myself? Because I need to have some critique because nobody really gave me a good answer. So I sent it to the BMJ.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I sent it to the BMJ. And then, of course, the BMJ was like, I don't think your argument is correct, to be honest, what he said. He said, I don't think, because, BMJ will have the ophthalmologist also doing the review, right?
The
And
reviews,
then
yeah.
yeah, so they would tell me, no, his assumption, he said he would think it happens because the eyes will actually get into a hibernation for some of the conditions, just like the bear. When
Yeah.
they're going to the winter, they go
Yeah.
to a hibernation. So when they go into hibernation, they cannot see much.
Right.
But when we, after the adjustment, within the neck, maybe the hibernation slowly goes away. So
Hmm.
that's why the patient can see better. So BMJ rejected me, but he gave me a very good reason to explain what's happening.
Right.
So I used the logical explanation to submit to another medical journal, and then I got accepted.
Oh, really? And so was that your first one that was accepted to a journal?
That was the second one. The first one was oncology one, remember?
Oh,
The,
yeah,
the,
yeah,
the
yeah,
cancer
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like, I think the second or third one, something like
Right.
that.
Well, that's cool.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And then you just started pumping them out?
Yeah, and then I start to, every time when I see a rare case, for example, I see another one, the patient comes in with half of his tongue is numb.
Yeah.
Okay, tongue numbness. What's going on? And then, of course, we adjusted, get better.
Right.
Right. And I was doing the Google research. I found out, whoa, this neck tongue syndrome. Neck
It's
tongue. Well, that kind of echoes to us, right? Chiropractic.
yeah,
Neck
yeah,
and tongue, right?
yeah.
Okay, that explains everything. So I write it up, document it, I send it to BMJ again. And I got accepted, yes. And then it's
Really?
published at BMJ. Yes.
That is cool. Yeah. And it's funny because the more work that we've been doing just with Dr. Stephen Porges with the polyvagal theory and just realizing that when the nervous system is detecting danger, neurological danger, whatever's causing that, it shuts down our social engagement system, which is the five cranial nerves that make up all the facial expression, the tongue, the vision, eye movement, head
Yep.
movement, voice, all that kind of stuff. And
Yep.
and yeah, it's amazing to see that when you can put ease into the nervous system and the social
Yep.
engagement system comes out of hibernation, because that's actually what we'd be doing. It was the social engagement system would be going into hibernation because you're in a protected, like shut down position.
Yep.
And chiropractic care is like one of the quickest, most amazing things to be able to get our body out of that social or out of that hibernation into the social engagement system. So it's pretty cool how that just kind of like rings a bell in my head. I'm like, that totally makes sense.
Yep.
I
Exactly.
also had one of my best friends. He had ALS,
Okay.
and unfortunately, I was one of the ones that kind of helped diagnose that. And
Yep.
kind of in my brain, when I realized that we weren't going to save him, just like the cancer
Yep.
patient,
Yeah.
I stopped going to his house to adjust him as much. And then
Hmm.
he gave me heck, and he said, like, I know you're not going to save me, but every time you adjust me, I can breathe better through the night. Like I can breathe. And like
Exactly.
super important, right? So now I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
this is not about curing people. This is about optimizing function, getting the nervous
Yeah.
system into a state of ease. So yeah, I totally jive with that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So how did your journey continue on into in that research realm?
Okay, and that's where after I slowly building up this case reports, I found out, hey, what do we need for the profession? All right. Of course, all these conditions we need documented. So when the next chiropractor seeing this type of case, he at least he has the evidence to trace where evidence base wise we may be able to handle this type of condition.
Right.
So that was the first time. So I build up all the case reports documenting our patients. And then when we have a certain number of patients, because we have 30 clinics in Hong Kong now, okay?
Cool.
So, and then we have about 50 chiropractors. So we was like, oh, this one day I was chatting with Robert Traeger. Robert Traeger is another author in my study
Okay.
for the scientific, for the scientific report. And then he is very good in analyzing data, right? He was like, hey, do you have some data for me to analyze? And I was like, oh, yeah, as a patient complaint log, running clinics, we were afraid of patient complaints, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So in my healthcare system, we have a very detailed patient complaint log. we have a rule of 48 hours. We have to resolve patient's complaint.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, the way we find out the patient complaint is not just from the doctor, because the doctor is usually biased.
Right.
Okay, it's not only from the CAs, because the CA are sometimes they don't want to tell, they protecting the doctors.
Totally.
Okay, so even with those two systems, we also have a customer service that will call the patient and make sure the patient is happy.
Ah, okay. Is that
Okay.
like, is that part of the regulation or part of your
Yes.
yes,
No,
part of
it's
regulation?
part of my corporate guidelines, or the corporate rules.
The corporate rules
protocol
for your business. Yeah.
Yeah, for my business. For example,
Yeah.
first visit, you have to make sure that he's happy, so he's coming out for the second visit, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I
And
got it.
and then eighth visit, I gotta make sure that he's happy. So when he's doing the 10 evaluation, he's happy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that for those kind of things. So we have a solicit call and make sure that we understand their condition. And if
Right.
they're not happy, it becomes a complaint. So we know the complaint as well.
Right. Okay.
Okay. And we also have a mother company that actually has a customer service department that collects complaints as well.
Right.
So if you're not happy with this clinic, you will go to the corporate level and then complain the company as well. So we also have that system.
Okay.
And we also have a IT department or digital marketing department. We're actually going through. So we have reports from the forum or from the Google reports.
Yeah.
Google actually have accounts for us. So the Google will actually send me reports on all the online complaints as well.
Oh, cool. Okay. All right. So you definitely collect any data of anybody who is not happy with their care.
Yeah, exactly. So we actually grade all those complaints.
Yeah.
If it is patient injury or patient adverse event, it becomes the most severe one. Or if it goes to a consumer council and a complaint to the government, it also goes to it. So it's both sides, service and the injury.
Okay.
So we're able to identify how many injuries was done from the clinic.
Right.
Right. And it was like, hey, can we use data to generate a scientific paper? Right.
Yeah.
And then the Robert was like, sure, it sounds like a very legitimate data. How many adjustments do you have? And then we were going through all this, the complaint log, right? It was like, oh, so on total, we have about 1 million adjustments.
That's cool. Yeah. So you have so much data. That's great.
Yeah. And then Rob was like, sure, that would be the biggest study ever for this type of thing. And then was like, then why don't we do it? So we start to, collect all the data from my IT department and then consolidate it and become a scientific report for the Nature's publication.
That is cool. And so kind of what was your results? Like what did you kind of conclude from your paper?
Yeah, so on the paper, basically what we found is the adverse event for chiropractic adjustment is very, very rare. Basically, it's 0.21 over 100,000 adjustments.
Okay, so say that again. So is zero.
0.21 over 100,000.
Wow. So for every 100,000 adjustment, there's 0.021 adverse.
Yeah,
events.
0.21.
Okay. Yeah. So that's pretty darn small. I don't even know if you can get that small from walking across the street.
Yeah, exactly. And then the most that we got is just it's rib fractures.
Rib fractures.
The most severe one. So when we designed this experiment, we also asked panels, like different people from different professions, to evaluate what's severe, what's not severe, because we haven't defined it.
Right.
Okay. And then so we asked a dean, associate dean from the nursing school in the local nursing school. We asked a engineer who is a researcher from the New Zealand Chiropractic College.
Oh, cool.
So they have a third-person view and defining what's severe and then what's not severe.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, and then we didn't find any stroke.
Yeah.
All right, so we're able to document that, hey, after 1 million adjustments, there's no stroke.
There you go. That's not surprising.
Yeah. So it becomes a solid evidence for the profession as well.
That's great. And so you submitted that to Nature magazine. Is that?
Yes. Nature's publication. So one under that, there's one called scientific reports.
Scientific
reports. So actually that fit into the scope of that specific journal, which is a number 5 top journal of the of the whole scientific community.
That's so great. And so what I saw on Facebook is was it ranked number 3 or something?
Yeah,
Just
and then
explain what that means.
Sure. So after it's published, and then of course it becomes very great. Well, at least to ourselves as a clinician, was like, hey, we have something on Nature, right? That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course, and I started to submit this paper to all different competition as well. So when I was at the WFC World Federation of Chiropractic, so
Yeah.
I submitted to the WFC, and then WFC actually gave me the award for that. All right,
Yeah.
and I was like, well, can we get awards outside of chiropractic profession?
Oh,
Okay, so I was reading at the Nature's report, in Nature, and the Nature was like, oh, they have these top articles. Okay, so
right.
every year they rated their own articles. And then I was out reading how to become a most influential article. So I was Googling, I was trying to figure out. And then they calculated in academic world, they calculated by Altramic score. Anyway, it's a score where defining if your article is most impactful.
Okay.
Okay, so I studied the algorithm and I taught my co-authors, hey, why don't we start to make our journal very impactful?
Yeah.
Okay, again, so I went to different awards. I started to talk to different chiropractors, can you promote my research? Okay, can you sign my research? So I started to solicit the community.
Yeah.
Right, and I was able to mobile it, and then I think we have done very good PR for that.
Yeah.
And then of course the reading time or the people start to read it, chiropractic decide it, and then it becomes one of the most impacted research for Nature's scientific reports.
That's
it's
great.
the number 3
Number
for
3.
2023. Yeah.
For 2023 was number 3.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Congratulations. Good job. That's
Yes.
That's super helpful. It's nice to know that that's happening in the world, because like the good thing about chiropractic is we can use that information in Canada. We can use it in Germany. We can use it in England, United States.
Yes.
Yeah, we can use it all around the world. That's so great. So what's your plans? What's in the future for you, like as far as business and research and some of your goals? It sounds like you have some pretty lofty aspirations.
Yes. I think again I'm in my late 40s now. Okay, so I've reached the milestone where I built a very good clinic system, and then I passed on that. I've done my career in the politician as a politician, like association president. I've done the research part. I think the next part, what I want to do, my ultimate goal is how can I influence the whole Chinese government, the China or the Chinese people.
Right.
Okay,
that
so
does
that's
sound that's just a small little feat, hey.
yeah. So that's my next goal. So I'm still learning. Okay. In fact, this starting from last month, I start to learn how to influence the young generations, which is the TikTok, which is a lot of those social media which I'm not familiar with. Okay. So I start to pick up all those skills, and then I start to build up a team where they can teach me on those skills. And then of course I set a KPI for myself as well. KPI, like a target, okay, or a score for myself. If I can reach that specific goal, like for example, build up my Chinese fans in the next 2 years, and if I can do something impactful. So that's my next goal for chiropractic.
That is great. And so in China, are there many chiropractic schools?
No, I just built one actually. We found the one. I found the one last year in September.
Yeah.
So me and Christina Conclave is the president of Matimony Chiropractic College. That's in the UK Chiropractic College. Yeah. So we talked for like 10 years, and then finally she agreed it. So we established one last September. And then, so now we have a UK chiropractic college sitting in Hong Kong. So, it's offering the UK degree, but Hong Kong local students can study chiropractic now.
Oh, that's great. And how many students is it? So it just started with its
15,
first class?
15. Yeah, we just have first class, so it's 15 now.
That's great. Well, that's just like because the Scotland Chiropractic College just started too,
Yes, yes,
so
exactly.
they're
Yeah,
just starting, and then Adelaide or in Australia. So we got a bunch of new little schools
yeah,
kicking.
Patrick. Yes. So actually, we actually
Yeah,
hang out a lot. Patrick and I, and then we hang out for 8 years, 9 years. That's exactly. So we start to learn from each other, and
yeah,
then because we all carry the same goal of building a chiropractic college back then.
yeah, yes,
Yeah, yeah, and a film master, all these people. Yeah. So we were at we had it was co-op by Guy Whitman from Life University.
yep,
We had a Rubicon group. So that's
right.
how we were connected together for the last 10 years.
That is great. Oh, that's awesome. Well, it's funny. We're just heading down to Australia. We're doing a seminar in Sydney here in May and June, and so
Oh,
we'll be
really?
heading down there.
Wow.
Yeah,
That
we've been down to Australia quite a few times. So yeah, we love all those people and New Zealand chiropractic. Cool. Yeah, we know a lot of the same
yes.
people, so that's really cool. So
Yep.
so coming to the end of this podcast, thank you very much. It's really excellent to get to meet you. And one of the things I always like to ask my guess is if you were to fly back in time and talk to your younger self, what kind of advice would you like to give your younger self around, 18 to 20 years old?
Mm, very good. Very good question. In fact, it is well, don't waste our time.
Yeah.
Okay, basically what I usually believe is try to live in the fullest life of yourself. Okay, set up some goals and then understand what you want, how much impact you want to create. All right, and then don't waste because time is going. It's like you don't have this much time. Okay,
Right.
and it's slowly going away. And then at different age, you do different things,
Mhm.
but don't waste your time and then try to live in the fullest.
100%. Time is zipping by as pretty much the same. Well, I'm in my early 50s, but you can tell that it's like you start to realize, holy cow, time is going by very fast. It's like we better get going. So the other thing I really like to ask is leaving words of inspiration for the chiropractors. So we have chiropractors listening to this all over the world, and some are just looking for some inspiration. Or what kind of words of advice would you have for the chiropractic profession?
Oh, be a giraffe, stake out from the common good. Okay, so don't. Well, my belief is a little bit atypical. The chiropractic profession has been doing the same thing for 100 years,
Yeah.
and nowadays it's really hard to find one profession that have done nothing for 100 years. For example, the things that we're still embracing now.
Yeah.
Okay, they're still the like gauntlet stack technique. They're still the Thompson technique. They're still the things that's not evolving.
Mhm.
Or they have still the technique that been twisted a little bit.
Yeah.
But with the AI, with the technology, even with the surgery, it was just knife and then become microsurgery and then become robotic surgery.
Right.
Okay, so the younger generation, please be a giraffe. Yes, we can respect respect the seniors and then follow their experience, but don't copy them.
Right.
Do something new, do something revolutionary. But when you are a beginner or when you are doing something innovative, nobody believes in you. Just like Elon Musk, remember that Elon Musk, when they do something, nobody believes you. But if you walk the talk, eventually people will follow you.
100%. Well, actually, they go through those four stages, right, where they kind of ridicule you, and then they violently oppose you until it becomes self-evident kind of thing. And it's poor Elon Musk. It sounds he's getting he's getting violently opposed at the moment. But that's the thing is that those innovators have to put up. That being said, like, have you had to put up with any like either backlash or resistance with
Yes,
your
yes.
growth? You must with your growth trajectory.
Yes, definitely. I still remember when I first started in Hong Kong. Again, I was not born in Hong Kong, but so I was a Taiwanese. Remember that. So I was a foreigner. People, I have a lot of discrimination
Yeah.
locally. They think, hey, I'm a foreigner here, and then later, when I'm actively evolve or involved with WFC, then people to start to attack me, and also attack me for like from the Chiropractic Council, which is the regulatory board part of it.
Right.
All right. And then, but my belief back then was, hey, we have to educate the public about chiropractic
Right.
instead of hiding it.
Yeah.
Because the conservative party or the conservative part of chiropractic, they will start to hide it. And I still remember the seniors when they come to my clinic, when they see the scoliosis poster, they would tell me, do you have any evidence that chiropractor can treat scoliosis? And my question was, which chiropractor doesn't treat scoliosis?
Exactly. How can you not adjust someone and not work on scoliosis?
And then they will try to debate about, oh, how many degrees, things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I still remember those days, but that's just not what I believe in. Then again, and then I start to to focus on what I believe in and study what can be improved.
Right.
All right. So I have a lot of attacks, but which is okay, and then that's just part of life. Okay. But it's also good that when you are going through this journey, you have a lot of friends as well. You are naturally a child of friends. So I still remember when I was being prosecuted by the government, which is, which was the board, it was by those people,
right?
Okay, trying to prosecute me, and then trying to tell everyone that what I did was wrong. And then Dr. Jerry Clum was the past president of Life West.
Yes.
He suddenly sent a letter to all those seniors of Hong Kong, like a senior chiropractor in Hong Kong, saying that when he was reviewing my case, he sees nothing wrong.
Oh, wow.
And I've never met Dr. Jerry Clum in my life.
Wow.
I've never even talked to him or, emailing. I've never seen him in my life.
Wow.
So it's just naturally, you just slowly build up. You have different friends who to support you as long as you're doing something right. Even at the moment, a lot of the senior chiropractor, that's the senior, the old chiropractors.
Yeah.
They may not be senior because they don't see many patients like me.
Yeah.
Okay. They are another entity. They're another association called the Hong Kong Chiropractic Association. We have two associations here.
Okay.
My association is the big one, and they are the small one.
Yeah.
They still try to take the school down. They try to tell all the chiropractors that, because the school doesn't have a cadaver lab, so it's a bad school.
Wow.
But they don't know what they don't know is only the U.S. and the Canada use cadaver. The rest of the world don't use cadaver.
Well, like you said, especially with AI, you can learn all that stuff without being on the cadaver.
The UK system doesn't use cadaver, and we are using the UK chiropractic college. How do we use cadaver?
Right. Yeah.
So people have this bias, but in the technical term, we call it design thinking. It's a technical term from Stanford University. So the design thinking is because they have a narrow mind because they can only see this much because that's what they are living in.
Yeah.
So that's why I will give to the younger generation, be a giraffe. Don't use this tunnel to narrow down yourself. Try to be open-minded. Don't try to criticize others. Just try to build something, and eventually, because by failing, then you slowly attract different people who try to build something with you together.
I love that I read Elon Musk's book, but I loved his quote where he said, "It's time to blow some stuff up." Exactly. The only way you learn is just by experimenting and trying and keeping your mind open to things, and that's how you innovate.
Failure is good. Don't be afraid of failure. But just you have to do the calculated risk. Make sure it's under the calculated risk.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us all the way from Hong Kong. And everyone else there, I hope you all got inspired. This was even it's funny when you meet someone for the first time and then you kind of dive into some of these questions and you kind of get a nice connection with someone and you learn some new stuff. So I hope you guys are all listening and inspired as much as I am. And until next time, have a great day, and we'll see you guys in a couple weeks.